streaming, it'll automatically start the stream on OBS.
Sounds good.
And then and I'm just going to go listen and make sure I don't hear an echo on from either of us. Then we got here. So I don't have an echo. And do you want to say something? Make sure I can hear you on TikTok.
Hello, hello.
And you want to say something? Make sure I can hear you on TikTok. Hello, hello. Okay. Do you have earbuds in?
Yeah, I've got earbuds in.
Okay, so I hear a slight echo from.
Yeah, I could hear two voices there.
All right, so I think I know what that is. It was something that I was kind of checking on. So make sure with that, make sure I can still hear myself. All right, so that muted me there. So this is going to be over here on OBS.
I'm hearing a little bit of echo. Yes. Oh.
All right, so let me go check YouTube real quick, and if we're good on YouTube, we are good to roll out. Go with
roll out.
And we are live there.
I lost sound from you.
All right, and then do you want to say something?
Yeah.
All right, we are good. We are good. We are rolling. We are live. And we've got one viewer on YouTube right now. So,
Nice.
Welcome to the first episode of Reason and Rebellion with myself and Jaren over here. I gotta flip my screens over. Jaren, do you want to go ahead and tell people about yourself a little bit since we're on YouTube right now? You've not been on YouTube before.
Yeah, sure. So I am Jaren Wingo. I am the co-author of Christ Before Jesus. There's a little copy of the book there. And yeah, I enjoy a clean pair of slacks and long walks on a beach. Years later, a doctor will tell me that I have an IQ of 48 and what some people call mentally challenged. That's it.
That's it. And we've got Albino Huggy saying, and being a goat.
Oh yes, a goat. That's my best goat. I am not the greatest of all time at goat impressions, unfortunately.
Me either. I am not either. So as we get people coming on in, we've got 9 people over on TikTok right now. We've got 2 people watching right now over on YouTube. We'll see if that picks up. Sometimes YouTube, it's hit or miss because since this runs vertical, it puts us on the shorts feed. And so it's just a matter of people swiping through. So for your name at the bottom of your screen, do you want it to say Jaren or do you want it to say Christ Before Jesus?
Let's go with Christ Before Jesus.
All right, let me get that updated really fast.
That being said, I, there's no time that is too early to introduce our fit, our drink of the week, and of course we can, we can keep returning to this momentarily
Yes.
to mention it, but what are you sipping on over there, Cyber?
I am doing Jack and Vanilla Coke today. We got Jack and
Yeah.
Vanilla Coke.
Okay. And I've got two Texas staples. I've got Big Red here. Big Red. If anybody hasn't had Big Red, um, to quote it, yet another Will Ferrell movie, kind of. If you don't drink Big Red, then you. Uh, so I'm drinking Big Red along with standard proof whiskey. This is Texas pecan with real pecans, and also if you don't call it a pecan, if you call it a pecan, something is wrong with you, and you need to be tarred and feathered. That's how it
Wait,
goes.
are you? You're having a hard time seeing chat. Okay, that is good. That's one thing I was worried about is would chat be difficult to see because of the lettering? So that's something we'll definitely take into note. I'll probably put a little darker box down there. I kind of
Yeah,
like
that's
this
why I've got
background.
dark on the bottom and dark on the top on my.
Yeah. What's what I like about this? So this is the Rosetta Stone for people who don't know. For this background, it's the Rosetta Stone.
Fun fact:
And
when I told a Mormon one time that uh, I didn't believe in like the Book of Abraham and stuff. This was actually a long time ago. Me and Matthew, we were talking with some Mormon missionaries, and we said that the Book of Abraham and the Book of Moses, they don't make any sense because the facsimiles that are shown in the Pearl of Great Price are actually Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Joseph Smith absolutely butchered their translation. The missionaries shot back with well, how do we know what they actually say? And we say, well, we can actually read ancient languages thanks to the Rosetta Stone. And he shot back and he was like, the language software?
are you serious?
Dead serious.
That is.
I was like, no, what it's named after, the actual Rosetta Stone. What a moron. Sorry, Mormon.
That Mormon. What a Mormon. Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. And right now I am downloading a background because luckily I'm able to do this. I'm going to download a background to put back there. So we'll get that covered up so that can be seen. I just gotta get this downloaded really, really fast. But anyways,
so
if
Larry
go ahead.
Overstreet says that YouTube is about 45 seconds behind TikTok, there's probably going to be a bit of a delay between the two, which I'm not that concerned about, as long as we can talk to the guests.
Yeah, so YouTube always has a delay. Unfortunately, it's one of the downsides of YouTube. It is for moderation purposes and other reasons, but yeah, YouTube is always at least 10 seconds behind. And then we'll go with
No worries at all. I think for the most part, as long as somebody's just picking or choosing either TikTok or YouTube, we should be good to go. But
yep.
The topic today is we're starting out with something that we're definitely familiar with. Jesus and Paul never existed. If you have evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. If you don't have evidence for Jesus or Paul, but you do have a particular, I don't know, a question or something like that that you would like to pose to. Do I call you Cyber on here, or are we still going by?
You could do Cyber or Nick. Cyber or Nick's okay.
Well, if you do have a question here for either myself, Jaron, or Nick over there, then let us know. Let us know. Let us know what the question is. And on here, I'll give you a pass. You can actually ask questions that aren't necessarily too terribly on topic, because I know that we do talk about this topic a ton, or at least I do.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wants to kind of get me off of that trail, then that's fine. That's fine. I've got enough of this standard proof whiskey in me to talk about some other stuff.
All right, we'll get this piece here moved down. Now this will just be a temporary piece until we're able to
That's not bad.
something else going. But we got that there, so hopefully you'll be able to read now. And yeah, and if you do want to join, for neither TikTok nor YouTube, well, YouTube can't join anyways. We're not taking anybody via the app. If you do want to join, it will be via tinyurl.com/R&R guest. Give that a type. We would love to chat with you. We'll be able to bring you on over and talk with you. And we just love to see you over there. We'd love to chat with you.
Bring it on.
I am surprised though, because normally over on YouTube, I'm usually up there by quite a few normally. And for some reason it's not. It's weird, it's goofy.
Well, that's just kind of how it goes. Things move slow in the world of interwebs.
It does sometimes. It does. But we do have 21 people over here on TikTok. If some of you can share this out, if some of you can hop on over to YouTube, watch the feed over on YouTube. What's important on YouTube right now is for us to get our subscribers up and for us to get our watch hours up. So unfortunately, Sticky, we are only looking for debaters, and we do have somebody in the guest box on TikTok. Don't come in the guest box. If you come in the guest box, it's not going to do any good. We won't be able to hear you. Chat won't be able to hear you. Nobody's going to hear you.
Yep. Just request right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sticky Bandits. Yeah. If you do want to come up, go into the link, tinyurl.com/R&R guest. Come on up. We'd love to chat with you, but you have to do it through the link.
Yeah. You're more than welcome to come up. You just got to go through the link.
Yep.
You don't have to be on video. You don't have to turn on your camera or something, but
yeah, you don't have to turn on your camera. We do have an option where if you don't, an avatar will pop up. So you don't have to turn your camera on. An avatar will pop up. So yeah, go ahead, come on up. Let's talk about it. We'd love to hear your things about it. And if you're over there on YouTube, let's go ahead, start tapping those hearts. Hopefully we can get this out over there. Yes, you'll probably need to leave. Well, you can just open up a web browser. So open up your web browser, type it in. We'll see you over there, and I'll get you ported on over.
Yep, sounds good.
And when we talk, we'll actually.
Oh, go ahead.
And I was gonna say, and when we do talk, we'll be talking through the Video Ninja little room. That's where we'll be talking. So just realize that there is a delay. So by the time we get done saying something, it takes a few seconds for it to hit TikTok, and then it takes a few more seconds for it to hit YouTube.
Yeah, there's over there on YouTube or TikTok, there's a little bit of a delay there as far as their systems go. But thank you, by the way, to anybody who has stopped by so far. Definitely appreciate any kind of views there on TikTok and on YouTube as well. Reason and Rebellion, that is this channel name. Over on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Reason and Rebellion. And here on TikTok, I don't know if we've got the. I suppose we have the TikTok URL as well. So at Reason and
Mm-hmm.
Rebellion. So yeah,
Yep.
thank you very very much for supporting here. Nick and I definitely appreciate that quite a bit, and even on our separate channels, Cyber Deconstruction, Christ Before Jesus, definitely uh, definitely appreciate all the love and support that we get, not only from the deconstruction community, but also from the religious people who happen to swing by and watch. I know that I've got a handful of religious people who kind of hang out and just kind of chill and will ask
Mm-hmm.
questions and enjoy watching debates and everything like that. So it's really good.
Yep. Anybody can come up, right? What can we expect from Reason and Rebellion going forward? So we're still going to be focusing on religious debates. But the thing to remember, the big thing to remember is that one issue that Jaron and I have had is that Jaron is, Christ Before Jesus is out there for a book. And so that kind of forces him to hold certain views in his lives so that there's not a potential bias when people are debating him, right? He doesn't ever want to be in a position where people just go, oh, you're an atheist, that's why. And with me, we've got some amazing theists who support us. And it gets kind of difficult when we're debating and we're atheists and we have a theist going into, well, but my gods. So this is a platform for us to be more candid about who we are, what we stand for, and stuff like that. If you do want to join, though, it does need to be through the URL. Needs to be through tinyurl.com/RNR guest. There we go. We've got somebody coming on in. We'll get them on up. This is going to be Sticky Bandits. So let me get you added to the
Sticky
scene
Bandit.
real quick, and we'll get you. Let me get you added over to
The thing about the
OBS.
Sticky Bandits, the Sticky Bandits, they replaced the Wet Bandits moniker while they were in New York. I think that's the idea. I think
yes,
he's
and
muted at the
then
moment here.
They're like,
yep.
Oh, did you click it
all
too?
the faucets on.
There
And
we
they're
go.
like, hey,
you
now
have
we're the
been
sticky
added,
band because we
and
got glue on our gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for knowing that. Thank you.
Yeah. Right up there with that really weird cameo in Little Rascals as being the top Donald Trump cameo of all time.
Oh my gosh! Right when he's in the hotel, he's in the Donald Trump hotel.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's in the Trump hotel. He just points in a direction of where he needs to go.
Wait, so
needs to go.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
And
what
then
a weird thing to look back on.
Like he looks down and sees a kid who is very clearly lost in New York without any parents, and just walks away. So good on him. That's the president of the United States, folks. Twice.
Oh God.
So, hey, real quick for TikTok purposes, can we get your age real quick?
I'm 37.
And you said you're a Christian.
Yeah, I'm a kind of Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian.
kind of Christian.
well, like, I feel like the evangelical community is the loudest in the Christian community, especially online. I'm not one of them, even in the slightest. If you're familiar with like TikTokers like Kevin Carnahan or Aaron Hagashi or even Dan McClellan at this point, I definitely align more with their views than I do with
the short bald guy.
Who? Which one?
No, Dan McClellan is the coward who won't talk to you.
The apologist who
Dan McClellan
as a person who actually like questions.
Well, are you guys familiar with Aaron Hagashi and Kevin Carnahan?
Kevin Carnahan, is that the short bald guy?
A PhD philosopher, yeah. He's definitely. I don't know if he's short. You only ever see his like face. in his
Yeah,
videos.
but he's
Oh
like
no,
really
totally.
scrunched down, like
But
really low.
he's usually wearing a hat.
Yeah, yeah. I know him. Yeah.
PhD Christian philosopher.
Yeah.
And do you know Aaron Hagashi?
I don't know him.
ABH Bible is kind of his moniker. I mean, huge TikTokers. They're all over like 100,000 followers or whatnot, and they're all PhD professors. And all Christian, mind you, and would also not be evangelical in the slightest. So I align far more to them than I do with the evangelical community on this app. So
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are atheists. We are firm believers that Jesus and Paul never existed. What is your strongest argument or evidence for the existence of Jesus or Paul?
yeah, I would say we have who do you want to start with? Actually,
That's up to you.
Take your pick.
well, so I mean, the easiest one to start with would be Jesus. What exactly do we know about him is in question, but there was certainly an itinerant preacher in the first century from Judea who was named Jesus, who absolutely preached, and people wrote about, talked about, followed. So yeah, I and like there's not a single professor who holds any authority in any university who would disagree with that. So you gotta be coming with something real big if you're gonna disrupt the entire enterprise of biblical studies.
Oh man, I'm about to name 40. We'll do 10. I'll name 10 professors. All of them are in Bible studies. Many of them are historians. So we have Tom Brody, Richard Carrier, Ralph Lataster.
Whoa. Can I stop you real quick? So I already know you're lying. Richard Carrier holds no professorship.
Well, I mean, to be fair.
So no.
Yeah, he does
because that was the premise. So I already know that you're off to a bad start. So I would actually.
He does have. Hold on. He does have a.
No. Wait. So I already know you're lying.
Richard Carrier does have a PhD. He does have a PhD.
But
Richard Carrier has a PhD in ancient studies.
Sir. What you claimed and what I claimed in the beginning was to hold professorship in the related field.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So now I already don't trust you because you legitimately lied. That's a problem for you.
I mean, the issue,
unless you didn't know that, and maybe you haven't done your research. Have you done your research? Do you know Richard Carrier's background and profile?
Well, sorry, I was taken off with scholars. I apologize. That is my bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I know you're not going to name me 40 individuals in the related fields who hold professorship at accredited universities. I know you're not going to name a single one now. Because they don't exist.
I will. We can yell. Yeah, we could talk about Arthur Droge, who currently teaches at UC San Diego.
Can I know his name again? I live in San Diego, actually. So can you tell me?
Arthur Droge, Droge. He teaches at the. Yeah, Arthur Droge. He teaches at UC San Diego. We have.
Sir.
Yeah, he's sitting. Yeah, he's a sitting professor. He's a sitting professor. Yes.
In a related field, what's his field?
Early Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, cool. And he believes that Jesus Christ and Paul had never existed.
I don't know about Paul. This would be on Jesus.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
We're talking about Jesus first,
Christ,
right?
So he believes that Jesus Christ, Arthur Droge from UCSD, in early Christian studies is what you said he was.
And then there's Carl Ruck, who's a professor of classical studies at Boston.
I'm going to hold you to that first one because I'm going to look that up right now. We're going to do that live real quick.
Mhm.
So he holds professorship currently in early New Testament studies, or is that what you said, or early Christianity?
Early Christianity at
Okay.
UC San Diego.
Let's come back to that. Hold on. I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna look that up, and we're gonna test you because you already lied once. So we're gonna look that up. Okay.
Well, no, sorry. I admitted I misspoke. I was naming off scholars, right? So these are still people that have PhDs.
Wait, did he leave? Is he gone?
He let me
I
go
think.
check. No, he's still in. Oh yeah, he dropped. Oh,
No,
he'll
I
come
think.
back.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately when they he swiped out of the app. So no, he'll probably be popping back. He'll probably have to come back in. But don't you love how he automatically was just like, nope, you lied. I'm like, no, I made a mistake. I started naming off people that have PhDs in this. So I was running off with the scholarships. These are people with scholarships.
Yeah. So, look, here's the deal. This is why I focus so much on letting people know that at the end of the day, I don't give a single crap. I don't know when we can cuss
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. uh,
We gotta give it 20 minutes.
I don't know if I can make it.
If you can't, you can't.
I don't give a single poop about whether or not a person has a PhD, whether or not they call themselves scholars, historians, data science. I don't care. At the end of the day, I just care about the evidence. Present me with the evidence that this person gives, because I know that at any point in time, if I name someone who is an authority figure, someone could say, I can name 50 other people, that go the other direction. And so it's not a
Mm-hmm.
numbers game, and it's also really not a good like authority game as well, because they can just move the goalpost. So I tip my hat to the gentleman who came up, the Sticky Bandit, who I guess will be back, because what he had said was and I caught it. I think the problem was you were thinking he was talking about scholars, because that's what most people think
Yeah.
talk about.
Yep.
But I caught it. He mentioned holds professorship, and I knew
Yep.
immediately that Richard Carrier is not one of those. But at the same time, it's kind of sort of just, hey, what I want to do is so I don't end up moving the goalpost later, I'm just going to put the goalpost as far away as fucking possible, just arbitrarily. Because it doesn't really matter if the person is a professor or not. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if they're a scholar or not, really. Yeah, all that matters is just whether or not the evidence is there. That's it. But if you're going to play
Mm-hmm.
the whole scholarship game, if you're going to play the whole appeal to authority game, don't make it so far away that it's impossible. Like, if he really wanted to, he could say, because what he said was they've got to be an actual professor at at an accredited school, whatever he deems, I guess, to be accredited. And then once we name someone, he had said, oh, so this person believes that Jesus and Paul didn't exist, when technically we were just talking about Jesus.
Yep. Just Jesus.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of that. If it wasn't moving the goalpost, it was setting the goalpost so incredibly far. And it can be tough. It can be tough. But I like to focus on the evidence. That's generally where I go. Because I mean, regardless of if a scholar, a professor, a data scientist, whatever, philosopher, says something, I'd like to know why they say something, if that makes sense.
Yep. And over on YouTube
Oh,
right now,
he's just muted.
let me get him added back in. Go back over here. All right, he should be popping back up. There we go. All right, you good? You ready?
He's back.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
assume you're getting this from Richard Carrier's source for scholars that hold his mythicist position.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I went through it all. A good 9 out of 10 of them are independent scholars, which is telling.
9 out of 10
The
of
rest
them.
are strange. So Arthur Droge, who is now in Toronto, he's currently in Toronto. Good scholar, mind you. What he has said is that he denies the crucifixion and will affirm that holding to Christ mythicism is something that you can hold to, but he personally does not hold to. He thinks it's a position that is defensible, but he himself does not necessarily hold to it.
All right. So if a scholar who is currently a
Well, that's
professor
one
at an
who's not a
accredited,
mythicist. He's not a
yeah.
mythicist. He
So
believes that Christ does in fact that's
so
two.
if
So
this
that's two. Do you
person,
have a third you want to do?
if this person is saying that this is a defensible
Yeah,
position,
it doesn't believe it.
then therefore
So
that means
so
that
the
you
two
can't
that
just
you've given me.
automatically assume that because there's a whole bunch of people who disagree with us, we
Do you
automatically
think there's a
lose.
grand conspiracy among scholars, especially most of them are atheists?
A conspiracy, not necessarily. No.
Oh, so then why do you think you have yet to give me a mythicist scholar that holds professorship? And Arthur
Again,
Droge isn't one of them. Obviously, Richard Carrier is definitely not one of them. In fact, you're actually getting this information from Richard Carrier's own documentation of it. So you're going through Richard Carrier, which is just diabolical in my opinion. So can I hear you? So my question still stands. Do we have a single scholar yet? I'm gonna look up every single one that you give me and show you how you're wrong.
a good portion of these.
Well, so here's.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well,
Oh no, you
as
go ahead. Sorry, I
someone who-
apologize.
Yeah, as someone who has actually written a book on this particular topic, I myself am not a scholar. I'm not. Have I actually spoke with some of these scholars, just a small handful of these scholars? Yes, I have. That being said, while I cannot name them,
Because they don't exist.
I've named it's these people who are on
The
this
only
particular
ones
list.
you've named, I have proven aren't mythicists.
Yeah, I understand.
So you've
When
yet
you
to name a
talk
single
about
one. You can't even name one.
when you
Come
talk
on, that's a
about
big deal.
when you talk about a conspiracy, it's not something that I don't like to throw around that term. The people who I've spoken to who are actually on this list, who are current professors that I
None
have
of them are
personally talked
professors.
about.
None of them are professors. They do not hold professorship.
Okay, so
I've made that extensively clear.
Why does holding professorship matter so much?
Because it means that your peers respect your opinion.
No,
That's not what that means.
That just means that you have.
Well, then we
a job
disagree. But either way, my initial claim was they don't exist. Your claim was that they do. You started rattling off a bunch. None of them hold professorship. That's where we're at. I think it's important because I think it means your peers respect you. You disagree? We can debate that.
Says that the mythicist position is defensible. That would mean that they respect your position. That's literally
and he himself
what that means.
is not a mythicist. The ones that
respecting your position does not require you to
can you
have
not?
their
Can you
position.
just not admit to lying?
No,
is it impossible for you to admit to
lying?
Hold on. I didn't lie.
Okay,
I misunderstood. I misheard what you said. So quit calling me a liar.
Well, you did it twice.
No. So you just admitted that the person who you took the time to look up is not only a good scholar, but that he holds that the mythicist position is defensible. Defensible. That means that he respects people with that position. That doesn't mean that he has to respecting it does not require him to actually
Are
hold
we
that
are we
position.
conceding my initial argument then? In that case, are you conceding?
No, because you didn't let
So
me
you
finish.
do believe that there is a scholar who holds professorship in the related studies that
Mhm.
believes in mythicism. Is that what you're claiming?
I can tell you right now that there are, because I
Okay,
know
name
scholars that
one.
I can't.
That's great. When you can, I would really be interested
it's
in
not because I
hearing it,
don't know their
because the only
names.
two that you've given me have been wrong, and they weren't, and
No,
you
it's
lied
okay.
or you were just
It's
uninformed.
not because I don't know their names. Their names are actually on this list. It's just that
The
I
Richard
can't.
Carrier's list,
Yes.
which is the list you're saying. And if you go down that list, do you realize they're all independent scholars? None of them
You
hold
And
just
a
there's
mentioned
nothing
you
professorship.
just
wrong with
mentioned
that.
one of them. So
Oh, I don't think there
no.
is. Just openly admit that no one who teaches our youth in biblical studies or ancient history or any of the related fields agree with you. Just admit that and
So
then make your case without them.
okay. So really quick,
But you don't want to do that.
not all of these people are independent scholars. You just mentioned somebody who is actually a professor at an accredited school. That being said, I can tell
Who
you right
doesn't
now
believe in
that the
mythicism? Which
conversations,
was the point. The
the
point was
com,
who believes in mythicism, who holds professorship. Guys, just get past this. You don't need this to make your case. You
okay,
can just get
the
past it. You just admit that
conversation,
it doesn't exist and go past it.
right? They
Can't you?
exist. They exist.
Name one.
If I told you that there is a conspiracy,
Name one.
if I told you that there is a conspiracy, what would that do?
Can you just why is it I'm so curious. I deal with this when I
Because
deal with
I
flat
know
earthers.
these
No,
because I
no.
know these particular
Honestly, I
people
deal with this when I talk to flat
personally.
earthers a lot.
No, I
Because flat
know.
earthers will say literally the same script that you're saying. I'll
Cool.
say, what
That's awesome.
cosmologist who holds professorship believes in flat Earth? They'll say, hey, there's these independent researchers and blah blah blah, and there's this dude who like maybe looked at the flat Earth map and said, hey, maybe a portion of this map could actually work, and we can tell time or we can do circumnavigation with
Mhm.
this map, and they'll run with that. It sounds a lot like you guys are doing that when you should just say, hey, there is no one, but I have other evidence that I can use. So I'll concede that point and I'll move on to other points. That's
So
really what
here's
you
the
should do.
problem. Here's the problem. Please don't talk. As the host, I do have the ability to mute you. We have not muted you. We have been as cordial as possible. Please listen. I personally know a number of these people on this list who are actively professors. I understand
Name one.
that.
You
Hold up.
personally know them.
Hold
Name
up.
one. I'm
Hold
calling
up.
you on your lie.
Please
Name
stop.
one.
Stop.
Wait, you
I
personally know them.
Yes, I do.
So name
Now,
one.
please stop
Just name
talking.
one.
I don't want to mute you. Please stop.
Are they
Listen. Just
embarrassed to be
they
told
they
in
cannot.
public?
Okay. All right. You have now been muted. I didn't want to do that. You cannot unmute. You will have to sit there and just listen to me talk for a little bit. Listen, I personally know a number of these scholars, these people who actively work within a professor role at accredited schools cannot state their personal opinion on this particular topic. I don't like to call that a conspiracy. It's not as if they would get rounded up and unalived or shot or whatever. That's not necessarily what's going to happen. The problem is the fact that some of these people have to wait until either they have retired or after they have uh, changed jobs or something like that in order to actually say some of these things because of the fact that they are having or receiving funding from people who actively are religious. A good number of the people who actually take religious studies classes are going to be religious themselves. That's just a fact. And if you tell these people that you personally don't believe in Jesus, even if you don't think that that's a public display, or you're saying it in a professional stance, if you tell them that you personally don't believe in Jesus, that will absolutely get back to the department, and you can absolutely lose your job. This is something that me and my co-author who have written on this particular topic, and is also friends with a number of these people. We have heard this time and time again from people who are on this list. People who absolutely, even as you read through here, you'll see that Richard Carrier says the same thing. That some of these people personally hold this particular point, but have not come out publicly because, or it didn't come out publicly until after their death, or didn't come out publicly until right before they died or after they retired. It's a common thing. When you mention the conspiracy part of it, I don't like to just jump into that, but I don't know really what else to call it. But that's kind of the case. But I wouldn't say that it's a conspiracy. I say it's just people just protecting their jobs, so to speak. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just how people operate. The last person on this list, by the way, Nina Livesey, who I know personally, she is somebody who is nearing the end of her career, and she just came out with a book in December that talked about how Paul is nothing more than just a pseudonym used by the Marcionites in 144. She questions this. Her entire life's work has been on Paul. That is one of the people that I know personally. And I can't comment any further than that because I respect her and I know her and she knows me and she trusts me with that. But that being said, Nina is a great scholar at an accredited university currently and holds the position that we hold on Paul.
Just let me know if I'm unmuted. I don't know.
Yeah, you are.
Nina, Nina,
Yes.
and then Lipsey, Lipsey.
No, Livesey, Livesey.
Livesey. Cool.
Her book
I will
is
investigate the third person you've given me now.
her book
sure.
is called The Letters of Paul and the
essentially,
Roman
what you want me
Literary
to
Context.
do is just trust you, bro.
No, you don't have to.
I mean, essentially, it's just easier for you just to say, "Hey, there's no one who exists," but you're just gonna
it's
say,
generally easier to lie.
I talked to these people away from you,
Correct.
outside of your knowledge of it, and trust me,
Most
bro.
conversations I have had in my life are not with you present.
So your evidence is trust me, bro. Source.
You don't have to trust me.
I mean, I obviously don't, because
evidence.
you guys. I mean, I won't put you both in the same box, but you've lied about two people already, or just were completely ignorant about it.
Hold on. We did. Hold on. Real quick. Did you go read what?
I guarantee if I go and look up Nina Livesey, I guarantee.
Hold on. So you're muted now. Did you read what Arthur Droge? Hold on. Did you actually read what he said? Did you read what he said? He doesn't believe Jesus existed. His actual stance on it is he's agnostic to it. He doesn't hold that Jesus doesn't exist, and he doesn't hold that Jesus does exist. He's agnostic on it, and he leads towards mythicism, but he just doesn't hold a stance on it. But he's never come out and said Jesus definitively existed. He never. In fact, he criticized the Jesus Project.
And the Jesus Project, by the way, is put on by the Westar Institute, which is Nina is actually on the board for. She was actually involved in the Acts seminar as well.
Your trust me, bro, isn't working, man. So let's just move past.
No, go read his statements.
Trust me, bro.
Can you show me where he stated? Hold on. So provide the source where he stated that he believes Jesus existed. Can you provide that source?
Which lie? Which one?
with Arthur Drow, go provide the thing where he states that he believes definitively that Jesus existed instead of saying
What's
that
your
he
definition
is
of
just going to remain
definitively?
agnostic on it.
What
Did,
is
did he
what is
say?
your
Did he say
he's
he's
not
going?
a myth.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Did
Was
he
my
say he's going
point.
to remain agnostic on it?
My point was that he's not a mythicist. My question was,
Hold on.
who's a
What does?
mythicist who holds professorship?
Well, hold on. But
It
he
wasn't he was
stated, right? Well,
agnostic.
no, because no.
You guys
You
gotta get
lied
you guys
because
gotta
you
understand that
said
I choose my
no.
words precisely.
No, you said that he believes Jesus existed. Those were your words.
That's
Now,
not a
when he
mythicist.
says, now listen, when he says that he
I
is
said he's
going
not
to
a
remain
mythicist.
agnostic to it, but he gives credence to it, and he even
Yeah.
states
He does.
that his biggest his thing that he viewed that the Jesus Project, and even states why he thinks the Jesus Project was ultimately kind of canceled, is because it was showing the mythicist view. He makes
Do you know
there's a
what
paper
the
you
do you
can
know
go
what the
read
Jesus
on it.
Project chose? Do you know what the Jesus Project what they set out to do? Do you know that?
Yeah, what were they setting out to do? Let me know.
So what were they trying to establish?
Yeah, they're just trying to prove the historicity of Jesus, whether he be not existent or he
No,
did
no, no,
exist.
no. They
But
were
it
trying
was
to
to set
show.
out the truth of Jesus.
No, they were trying to prove they were trying to understand what we could know about the historical Jesus.
That's
It was never a
what we're
question of
talking
whether
about.
or not
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's
It was a
what I
question of
said.
whether or not we could know what the historical
That would
Jesus
be
was.
historicity. That's what
Yeah,
Do
historicity
that
you
would be the
understand the
historicity
difference
of
between those two
Jesus.
statements? Do you understand the difference between saying he never existed and whether or not we have access, knowledge to the historical Jesus? Do you
Do you
understand the difference?
realize
Yeah,
that
and
the votes in specific that they held were also based off of the idea that some of these things didn't
But
happen?
don't answer a question with a question, brother. Come on.
So, wow, you
So,
are
so
an
do you
incredibly
understand the
dishonest
difference?
person.
Do
Like,
you
I get
understand the
that
difference?
you choose your words very carefully, but at the same time, you didn't even actually supply any kind of backup for this Droge person who actually does lean towards mythicism. In fact, while you accused me of a trust me, bro,
He
which I told
doesn't
you
lean
you don't
towards
have to trust me, you
yes, he
lean towards
does.
went on there and
agnosticism
just said,
towards
"Hey, trust me,
Jesus
bro. I looked this person up
crucifixion
and I found certain things."
specifically.
So,
No.
And mind you, the Jesus Project had nothing to do with whether or not Jesus existed. It had to do with whether or not what was pertained in the biblical literature gave us access to the historical Jesus. That's what it was.
Yeah, and they were finding
Honestly, if
nothing,
you
and it
think
got
if you think it was
canceled,
anything,
and it got
if you think it was
canceled as a
anything else,
result
then you
of
don't understand the
nothing.
Jesus Project.
So hold on. But you keep lying about author. You keep lying, right? So you keep saying that the only thing he denies is the crucifixion, right? That's not what he denies. He has stated publicly multiple times that he is agnostic. He doesn't take a stance on whether or not Jesus existed or not. He refuses to take a stance. But with that, he states that there is
show me a quote.
legitimacy to the
Show me a quote.
mythicist movement. He states there is legitimacy to the mythicist
Which is what I
movement. Those are
admitted
his
to.
words.
Which is what I admitted to right off the bat.
No, what
can
you
I
keep
get- can I
saying,
get-
hold on, stop. No, because you keep over talking both of us. What you keep trying to shoehorn in is that the only thing he denies is the crucifixion of Jesus. That's what you keep trying to shoehorn. And then you followed up right after you said that he does believe that Jesus historically existed. Now I have asked you, because you went off to go find that. Where does he make the claim that Jesus did exist? That was your words. Where does he say that?
Never once.
Okay, he never once. So why did you say that when you found what he said, that's what he said? Why did you say that?
I never once said that he believed Jesus existed.
Chat, let's get ones in the chat if you heard him say that Jesus did exist. The
we don't
only
have to
thing
go to
he
the chat.
denied,
I would like
the
to
only
hear
thing
his
he
best mythicist
denied
quote.
was the crucifixion.
What is his best mythicist quote?
Huh?
What is his best?
Oh, yeah, I could go
mythicist
find that real
quote?
quick.
His best mythicist quote. And that doesn't mean agnostic. That means mythicist. And by the way, you guys are hanging on this dude who, even if proven correctly, would be one of 10,000 biblical scholars who hold professorship who disagree.
We don't have to outnumber them. We just have to prove you wrong because you said none.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't have to prove me wrong. This is what we do
That's all
in
that we
peer-reviewed
care about right
journals.
now.
We don't do
In
it
no
here
way,
on
shape, or form.
YouTube,
In no way, shape, or
TikTok,
form are we
and
trying to outnumber the
video.
amount of people who say that Jesus existed. We're just trying to find you one professor currently who is at an accredited school who
Yeah.
believes that mythicism is actually a legitimate position.
No. Who is a mythicist?
No. So you said, and
Is
I quote,
a mythicist
you
was my
said-
opening question. Who
Okay.
is a mythicist who holds professor of scholarship?
You
Who
said,
is a mythicist?
okay, you said that the reason why you gave those
The
particular
goalpost
requirements,
is moving.
okay, you said that the reason why you gave those requirements was because this person does not actually. You want to find someone who actually thinks that it's a respectable position. In other words, when we pushed back and said, why do they have to be a professor? You said being a professor shows that you actually have the respect of your peers. So therefore, if we find someone who actually gives respect to that position, then that would be on par, according to your logic, with being a professor. So I understand that they might not currently be a professor, but just because you're just, no true Scotsmaning, that doesn't really make any sense. They don't have to actively be a professor at this point in time. What if they were a retired professor? Does that not count? I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of different people who we might be able to point to here that ultimately are going to show that your position that there's not even one is incorrect. You have moved the goalpost because you just brought up that you could bring up 10,000. I recognize that very clearly this mythicist position is in the minority, but that in no way, shape, or form is our argument. We're not arguing that it's the majority. We're not. We know it's in the minority. I just said it. Ultimately, I'd like to get to actual evidence for this position, but we're trying really hard to get you to notice that the concept of no one taking it seriously, or the concept of no one having this position within any kind of respected field, is not accurate. It maybe it was years ago, but it isn't anymore, is my point.
What do you think has changed? Why is that not an accurate like litmus scale of someone's knowledge on the field? Why what so tell me, when did it change? At what point did it change? And why did it change?
Because of our more recent understanding of early Christianity.
So tell me the day, the scholar, the moment it happened, and why.
In no way, shape, or form do I have to tell you the day that it changed. That doesn't make any sense.
Tell me the year that it changed. Because you
In
said
no way, shape, or
nowadays
form,
it's different.
Evolution of thought doesn't just
So tell me
change
when
in
that
1
happened.
year.
Tell me when that happened.
Again, you're being very dishonest. That's not a valid question.
It's what you said. You said nowadays it's different.
Yeah.
So I want to know when it changed.
Okay. I can tell you right now that human beings are not apes. I can't tell you the year that we changed.
Give me a vast overview of it. Give as general as you can be. You claimed that nowadays it's different. I want to know, when did that happen?
Again, it's the view. Well, I told you over the last a couple decades. I use that phrase. So over the last couple decades.
You've seen scholarship flip to your side? What?
Well, I specifically gave you a book from an actual scholar who is on this and currently a professor in an accredited school this moment. And you kind of just laughed at it. And
when did they start teaching it differently at Oxford?
At Oxford?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
say anything about Oxford.
One of the greatest schools to go get your studies in
So now
in
you've moved the
biblical
goalpost to
historicity.
Oxford.
So when did this change happen that you claim?
You're now moving
You
it to
claim that
Oxford.
you claim that there was this change, right? It doesn't happen
Yes.
nowadays, is what you said.
Yes.
Nowadays it's
Okay.
different,
Okay.
right?
Okay. So, good God, you're absolutely intellectually dishonest because you have moved this goalpost multiple times and are accusing us of doing so. What I told you just now is that not being able to find someone might have been the case 10 to 20 years ago. That's not the case now. Then you have absolutely dishonestly tried to shift this to where the person or the viewpoint from Oxford has to change. I'm just talking about finding someone who is a professor. I'm just finding someone who absolutely destroys your argument at first that you couldn't find someone like that. That's all that I'm talking about here. I'm not saying that the entire field has now shifted towards Jesus not being. I told you earlier, about maybe 4 minutes ago, that mythicism is still in the minority. You're trying to argue a straw man that you keep thrusting onto me. That's not at all what I said. And don't shift or move the goalpost and say that it has to change the entire field coming from Oxford. I'm not arguing that, man. That's not what I said. That's not what I'm alluding to. Why are you being dishonest like this? That's not what I said.
Okay.
Do you have a reason for why you were being dishonest?
I think I was.
Why did you bring up Oxford? Literally, none of us have mentioned
Look,
Oxford.
you don't have to
prior
cry about Oxford. It's okay. We can
no,
move
why
past
did you
it.
bring it up?
You know, for the sake of continuing the conversation forward, I'll concede.
Okay. So, look, what my point is that there have been actual works within the last decade that have moved positions on this.
Great,
This is
give me
David
one.
Krovich's works. This is Jason Badoon's work. We've got Marcus Bilby's work.
Are any
Price's
of them
work.
professors?
I just named you Nina Livesey earlier. I named her book. I told you the month that it came out in. You were asking for like a day that things changed.
You
I
know.
gave you
So
the
I'll
month
have
that
to look
book
her
came
up.
out.
I'll have to look her up. So
Okay.
She's
I'll
also
give
on
you
Myth
that.
Vision, where she talks about it on Myth Vision.
And on History Valley as well, if you just want to look up like.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
no,
might have been
sure.
History Valley. Might have been History Valley.
No, it's she's
Yeah,
on
no,
both.
by all means. So what was her big piece of revolutionary evidence that
That Paul is
made
nothing more than a
Jesus, because we're talking
pseudonym
about
used
Jesus,
by the
remember?
Marcionites.
That made Jesus seem unlikely that he existed? What was her big stick?
Well, for starters, considering the fact that, like for Richard Carrier's position is that Paul believed in some, supernatural or spiritual Jesus. He doesn't even really talk too terribly much about the Gospels, considering the fact that even Christian scholars recognize that they show up so much later. Paul is more or less the last bastion of hope for historical Jesus. But that being said, her work has found that the letters of Paul are actually pseudepigraphical, coming from the 144s with Marcionites.
Is she peer reviewed with those?
Yes.
Can you point me to a paper?
No, you can use Google.
Wait,
we all
what?
have Google.
So you're coming here without.
Hold on, I
evidence?
asked for a source. You didn't give me one. I asked you for a source. You
I'm
didn't provide one. You just laughed.
When you're gonna make a giant ass claim, you better have giant ass evidence. So,
Well,
Look,
so
you
two-
don't even know how to spell her last name. Just look it up, man. Like it's not on me to give you
trust me, I
everything you
will.
hold your hand to.
Absolutely, trust me, I
You
will.
actually hopped off
Well,
online.
I just figured you would be knowledgeable about this because you're like out here
So hold
literally
on.
every
So
day
with
talking about it.
so I do have
It
three
is like your
sources here. So
fucking
we're gonna
job, you know?
go. So we're gonna go to. I'm gonna butcher this name. It's Juuso. Loikkanen. They're a postdoctoral researcher in systematic theology at the University of Eastern Finland with a PhD in systemic theology. They did a study with two other researchers, and they published an article in Theology and Science in which they concluded the existence of Jesus as a historical person cannot be determined with any certainty, and that peer-reviewed literature doubting the historicity of Jesus is emerging, and with obvious rebuttals, but it is emerging.
Yeah,
But they
not
found
mythicism.
that there's no, huh?
It's not mythicism.
That is mythicism or
What do
mythicism.
you think mythicism is? Mythicism is that Jesus
It's
never
the
existed.
belief that yeah, and that's what. Hold on, let me
That's not what he came
reread
to the
this one more
conclusion of.
time.
He just came to the conclusion that like history can't fucking prove
Let
it.
me read this one more time. Let me read their
Go ahead.
conclusion one more time after their
Go
study.
ahead.
The existence of Jesus as a historical person cannot be determined with any certainty, and that peer-reviewed literature doubting
not
the
mythicism.
historicity of Jesus is emerging.
If your position is that we cannot like perfectly prove that Jesus Christ existed, I would agree with you. But that's
let
not
me, hold
the
on. Let me read.
mythicist
Let me read.
position.
Let me read that. Let me read the second half of that. And that peer-reviewed literature doubting the historicity of Jesus is emerging, right? So they acknowledge that there's some validity to books such as Christ Before Jesus. There is some validity to these books.
That's not the mythicist position.
That is a mythicist position. That is the mythicist position.
So I will once again restate this. If the mythicist position, the way you are articulating it, is that you cannot prove that Jesus of Nazareth existed, I would be in agreement with you.
Doubting the history. No.
I would agree with you.
He just
is that your
doubting
position?
The historicity.
Yeah, doubting the historicity.
That Jesus Christ did not exist, or that you cannot perfectly prove it.
No, doubting the historicity is different from just saying, "Hey, we can't."
No,
prove
just
it.
come on, work with me here, guys. If your position is that mythicists believe that you cannot prove it, I would agree with you. And then call me a mythicist as well.
That's
if your position is that you believe he did not exist, which is not what that paper is saying, which one is it?
Wait, hold it.
So what we believe is that the null hypothesis should be that he did not exist until you provide evidence that he did exist. And that's what this is saying, is that there's no evidence to say that he did exist.
And that down
they are holding to the null hypothesis. They are holding to the null hypothesis that we sustain.
When did it say that? When
did I'll read it again.
Define null hypothesis. Did it define that and use those terminologies? And did that? And
so the null
it hold to it?
Wait, say that one more time.
I'm honestly asking. I'm not trying to like get a gotcha on you. I'm actually curious. Did it actually?
Yeah, they said so. They're saying So what do you think a null hypothesis is? What's a null hypothesis?
Doesn't exist until proven, or unless enough evidence.
No. In any topic, whenever we talk about things in any subject, what is a null hypothesis?
I don't believe it until you give me enough evidence to believe it.
Well, a null hypothesis, a null hypothesis is the starting point. That's what a null hypothesis is the starting point, right? So what they are saying is that through their study, they did not find any evidence.
Read their words. What they're saying is that it cannot be proven.
Yeah, the existence of Jesus as a historical person cannot be determined with any certainty, and that peer-reviewed literature doubting the historicity of Jesus is emerging. That's what they said, right? So they are stating essentially...
I love it. They're not mythicists.
No, those are two different things. One is saying that it can't be proven. That would be agnosticism. The next one
Mhm.
is that doubting the historicity, which is actually someone saying, "Hey, this
And
isn't
they
real
make zero
historically,"
claims on that.
is emerging. They're acknowledging that this is coming forth. This is exactly what we
But
said, that things are
not
changing over
making
time.
firm claims either or. And by the way, there's a billion other scholars that I could
Okay, and then
that
just
I
going right
could
back to the
contradict all of that
numbers
on.
and
Mhm.
everything like that. Yeah, I
So
cyber.
so let's get off of
I'm
let's get
yeah.
off the scholars and let's talk about the actual proof. What
Why would we
proof do
not
you
want to talk
have that
about
Jesus
scholars?
existed?
Wait. I'm just actually really curious. I'm
Mhm.
so curious about this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why would we not talk about scholars? I'm curious. Cyber deconstruction. How many years in biblical
Uh-huh.
studies do you have education in?
I have a master's degree in theology.
You have a master's in theology. Cool. So
Mhm.
Christ before Jesus. What is your educational background?
My educational background is a bachelor's in data science.
Great. So why would and I have a master's in philosophy, so I'm also unrelated
Mhm.
field. Um, why would any of us think that we could do historical studies in the Bible when the majority of people who do it come to a vastly different conclusion than you both do?
So he
That
has a degree in theology that actually would
No, do you know what
qualify him.
theology
Mhm.
is?
Okay,
Theology has
Yeah, it's
and
general
nothing to
religious
do with
studies.
the historicity.
okay.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's
and
in it's
No,
then
in
no, no.
religious
I'm curious.
studies.
Christ before Jesus. Do you know what theology is?
hey, there is I probably I'm hearing something in your. Is there a window open or anything? Or is there a window open in your room?
Currently,
In my
no.
room?
Yeah.
Me currently, no.
No. Is there a window in your room?
Yeah, I have multiple windows in my room.
All right, cool. Well, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to look out that window, find a spot, and go
Oh.
fuck off to it. Asking me to define theology. You've got a fucking master's in theology.
Right. No, and the thing
No,
was
we have
is that
no
he
idea what we have no idea what we're talking about. By the way, he thinks that I have no idea, no reason to even be talking about this. If he had actually come in here and asked questions, about things, then we'd actually be able to talk about how data science actually is something that we can use on the text. We can actually look at this.
and
And by the way, someone who has gone to school for theology is absolutely someone who can study the religion. That's how that works. That's what it is.
right. And the idea that you need somebody that works for a university is just goofy. Not everybody wants to work in a university. Not everybody wants to do it. There's some people who have no. The fact that you're just looking for a scholarship and you're studying it, that's what matters. But Jaron, I did want to let you know that we could have had him talk to somebody special. Jaron, do you want to know who he could have talked to?
Yes, give me the name of
name is John C.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Somebody else with the John Cena button.
So yeah, just start saying the words, and we will give him a John Cena, we'll give him a Joe Hendry.
Look, I respect the fact that he was fairly precise on what he was trying to talk about. He chose his words pretty carefully, and I respect that. I respect his position. However, the issue is the fact that when presented with any kind of evidence that suggested that his take is archaic, the take that you can't find anybody within academia who actually holds this position or respects the position, which is why he wanted somebody within academia, then that's just an archaic take. It's something that absolutely isn't true anymore. It absolutely is becoming something that's more common. You literally read off a quote that talked about how there is more paperwork, more papers and more articles and more peer-reviewed journals that are talking about this stuff, talking about the doubts of the historicity of Jesus. You pointed that out. And by the way, that answered the question that he had from me, which was, oh, hey, can you tell me when this started shifting? Can you tell me the paper that came out? As if that it's just one thing. Like, there's a lot that was going on. He chose his words very carefully, but he also moved his goalpost all willy-nilly. And it just doesn't, it just didn't jive. It didn't jive. But to anybody who is watching, who actually does care about the evidence for this kind of stuff, because this guy never actually came in here and actually wanted to have a real conversation. He could have asked, why do you hold this position? But instead, he just made fun of our position, called it fringe, called it small, called it the minority opinion, called it something that's basically said that it's not taken seriously at all. And then never really talked to us about what we believe or why we believe it. Nothing. He wasn't being honest. He didn't actually want to have a conversation. Didn't actually want one. And we spent about an hour talking to this motherfucker. Sorry, this yeah.
Oh, you can cuss now. I think we're good. Yeah, this motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, look, I actually had to stop myself from saying something else just then. Because let me just tell you this. Because it's Reason and Rebellion. It's Reason and Rebellion. Yeah, we're all friends here. I drink enough whiskey, and my other half comes out. And I almost said something that could potentially land me in some hot water. So this MF was not being very honest.
I'm looking to potentially restart the YouTube stream because it's not getting anybody over there, and I'm like, is there? Did I forget to like hit something so that it would go live in? Because for it to go live in the shorts has to go live in vertical mode. And so now I'm like, did like what's going on with it? Because it's had like 2 people in it the entire time, and I'm like, why is it not going live in vertical mode?
Oh, it says 4 watching right now. Any other guests want to come up? Hell, just to get it going, I don't mind if anybody actually wants to just come up and ask some questions related to the topic or slightly peripherally related to the topic, just to kind of, get some guests, get some traction going here. Oh, there we go. Storm says, I can hang out over there, here, and like it to help. Oh, thank you very much, Storm. Thank you very much, Storm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Talk to myself. There you go. All right. It was what is... I agree, though. Well, troublemaker, yeah, that's that's understandable. I mean, a lot of the people who watch us, on our own personal stuff like Christ Before Jesus or Cyber Deconstruction, generally going to agree with us on the mythicist position, or at least, be open to it, or at least respect it. Um, I think when we get to some of the more spicier topics, I think that would be, I think that would be ideal, and people might come in here. I don't know. We may lose viewers. Let's talk about something super controversial. Let's talk about what's something controversial. DC versus Marvel.
Man, you're gonna get Dan McClellan coming onto the stream. Hold on,
yeah, watch
maybe
that be the one thing he
he'll
talks
talk to
me.
you then.
Yeah, exactly. He won't talk to me about stuff that like we care about, but he'll. You know what? Hey, look. Here's something that me and Matthew were talking about the other day. Look, I think, and this is a hot take that you're only going to get here on Reason and Rebellion. You ready for a hot take? Ready for a hot take?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. People need to remember that Dan McClellan is an apologist. He's an apologist first. Yes, he's a scholar, but he's an apologist. Absolutely. The reason why he is popular is because he is very calculated in what he does. So there's Matthew and I poured through a lot of what he had actually responded to, right? You know how he makes like a whole bunch of YouTube videos, or he makes little YouTube shorts or TikTok videos and stuff where he chastises certain crazier views, right? Of like, oh, hey, we found Noah's Ark, something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal. Not only do Christians like him, but a good number of the deconstruction community likes him too. And I wondered why that was the case. And here it is. The Christians like him because, well, he's Christian. But the non-Christians like him because it appears as if he goes after Christians. But in reality, if you watch all his videos, if you actually pay attention, he's only going after the ones that he's not going after Christianity. He's going after the Christians that make Christianity look bad. That's what it is. He's cleaning it up. So while we are supporting him more or less, like, and oh yeah, go after him and take down like that crazy person who says we found Noah's Ark and there was alien technology in it. We're like, that's funny. And we think that he's going after. He's not going after Christians. He's just going after the bad ones. He's cleansing it. He's an apologist. At the end of the day, you need to remember this. No self-respecting human being who is actually looking for truth is an adult convert to Mormonism. You do not become an adult convert to Mormonism because you're looking for truth. That doesn't make any sense. If you're someone who is if purely motivated by trying to figure out if something actually happened, if a text is actually true, believing the Book of Mormon is asinine. That doesn't make any sense. Now, if you marry a Muslim or something like that, or if you're dating a Muslim and you're like, you know what, I don't really care that terribly much about whatever religion I am. I'm just going to join this church or whatever. Who cares? That you got other ulterior motives. Just admit that. But don't try to say that you're putting data over dogma when you're an adult convert to Mormonism.
Yep. Well, and he's been getting a lot of flack because people have been like, do you give the same criticism to the Book of Mormon? And what his statement was, his response was, when I got hired by the Mormon Church, my degree is in biblical literature and history. It is not on Book of Mormon history. So he's kind of like, so I can't talk on the Book of Mormon. I can't talk about it. That's not my specialty. It's the Bible. So by doing that, he completely dismisses the issues with the Book of Mormon. He doesn't have to acknowledge it. He's pretty much said, I'm not going to criticize it to the extent that I will the Bible because I can't.
It's just like a throwing stones over here, and then he's like, "Oh, but don't mess with my glass house, please."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my understanding is that he's an adult convert to it. I don't think he was raised Mormon. My understanding is that he's an adult convert to it. Yeah. But even still, no one who is actively looking for truth, and digging into this and going to school for this and trying really hard to look past dogma to look at objective truth is going to continue, especially after being called out on it and having to make videos about it, is going to continue supporting the Book of Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Now, again, if he has family in it, and he doesn't want to leave it, for traditional purposes or culturistic purposes or something like that, whatever. I mean, that's some other problem. But don't try to act like you're only interested in the truth. Oh, Dan converted at age 20. There it is. Yep. Let's see. What says? I wish more people would criticize the BMK. Oh, the Book of Mormon. Well, maybe that's the next topic. Maybe that's the next topic of the episodes here on Reason and Rebellion. Oh my God. Joel Reed's Bible is there in the YouTube chat. He says, and I'll read off these words. Chatting words. Storm says Jesus existed. You guys can't give me any scholars who agree with you. Storm. I love Storm. Storm's awesome. Okay. Joel Reed's Bible. Jesus debates Jesus Christ, Christianity, God, resurrection. God's not dead from Storm. Oh my God. Storm just coming out the gate swinging. Joel Reed's Bible. Jesus. Sorry, I read that. Bible, God, Jesus, how dare you? Okay, he's just hitting all the buzzwords. Jesus, Christianity, no, yes, argue, interesting. Heart, heart, heart. Let's see. Christian God, Jesus in the Bible. Storm says Paul didn't crack his head and hallucinate. Storm says Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and I have a personal relationship with him. He just bought me dinner. Oh my God. I love it. Storm says 2 hottest cowboys on YouTube.
Ooh. Blush, blush.
Don't mind if I do. Well, move over, Jesus. Because Storm, I'm your Huckleberry.
I'll be Huckleberry. And hey, if you are here and you're wanting to come in, go to the link. It's going to be tinyurl.com/rnrguest. Go in there. We'd love to chat with you. And I'm trying to see if we are even on the shorts feed.
Yes, R.I.P. Val. Please, more criticism of the Book of Mormon. Yeah, so in short, the Book of Mormon, from what I found, is just more or less Joseph and some of his buddies writing some text based off of some different experiences that they've had with other people prior, or other stories prior. Something that was kind of eye-opening for me is that Joseph Smith's mom admitted in her biography that when he was a kid, he was constantly talking about different like Indian groups and stuff. He was obsessed with this group called the Mound Builders, who were these people who would just like build mounds for different reasons, and these things were excavated, later. And then it's no surprise that in the Book of Mormon, some of these tribes that he's talking about or trying to claim are real historical tribes left mounds. And it's like, of course, it's just it's stupid. We've got somebody here. This is JRB.
All right, let me JRB.
I can hear JRB now.
Yeah, let me get him added on over. Oop.
I don't see
just
it.
hit
I
the
don't
wrong.
think he has his camera on it or anything. Yeah, I can hear you. This is Mezzo, right?
Yeah, it's Mezzo.
Okay.
It's just Mezzo here, pretending to be Joel and doing a great impression. But look,
I can hear him now.
okay, that's perfect. I don't know if any of this stuff will work, but why don't you guys join your TikTok live as yourselves so that it drives traffic to this live? Have you thought of that?
Like as our personal accounts?
Yeah, just like go up as Christ
Yeah,
before
we.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm on here.
Mhm.
No, like in the TikTok stream, you guys aren't there as guests, but if you guys were there as guests, then your fans will see you that you're live.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I know. I know what he's. Yep.
Like, yeah, I mean that's. I guess I could mute myself. I guess on there.
Yeah, you just like join on another phone or something, or on your phone, and then mute yourself, and then just people see that you're live,
Yeah, and then it'll pull it in.
and it'll just bring more people in. The other thing, Cyber, is on the YouTube stream, title it something that's like Jesus never existed, Christian debates, or something like that. Like if you want to change it to episode 1 later and whatever when it's all done, but like maybe this is just me guessing that like with certain keywords might draw people in more. So if you have like debates and Christian and atheist and deconstruction and all those things, like, and if you have like the most like a exciting title, like Jesus never existed or Paul never existed, whatever the topic is, I found that when I put debates in my title, I felt like I got more views, so that might help. And then my last idea would be to put the tiny URL in the chat and pin it, so people don't have to type it.
Know what that is true. I am used to having when I'm live on it, because like I said, when I'm live, I'm normally bringing in, and well, I'll usually top out like 300-400 on YouTube, and then it'll piddle out to around 70 is usually where I'm at. But this one here's been like,
There's like
the
4
entire
people
time.
You'll get 300 people at a time.
Yeah, like I'll be there at like the very beginning.
Wow.
Wow.
I get a slow build.
I mean, it doesn't last that long. Yeah, I'm usually right around 100 to 150 is where I'm usually hanging out at.
Yeah, that's normal for me too. Well, like once in a while, I've been up like over 200. Like one time, I think I was over 200. It was a wild night. It was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know what you put in your titles typically, but I feel like putting live debates or something along those lines might get the algorithm to be like, oh, there's a debate there, Christian, that kind of stuff. I don't know, just a suggestion. And then even the link in the description.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the YouTube stream real quick, and I'll have it live again here in just the next few minutes. I'll take those into consideration, and because it's titled. Well, it's titled "Reason and Rebellion, Episode 1: Jesus and Paul Never Existed."
Yeah, like don't worry about the title. Like the title should be like an afterthought or like later on in the thing, because what matters is the first thing people see, just like something that's going to grab their attention, this industry of you got to just grab their attention sort of thing. So later on you could put like R&R episode 1 or whatever, but just I would put down like Jesus and Paul never existed live debate. And then if you want to still add the thing, or once you're done the live stream, then just like retitle it with that. That's how I would do it.